was like, hey, Wena, aren't you bewitched? Why would you leave a job? Literally, my mom thought I'm bewitched, guys. Like, honestly, that used to pain my mom. So obviously, nobody taught me about money. You know, I just knew, if I have money, I spend it. It's going to come back. I'm going to spend it. You know, I calls you, hey, you qualify for a loan. You said, bring it on. Standard Bank comes, hey, I can give you overdraft. It's money that you don't have. But because they looked at your payslip, they see that, she's earning 35,000. Then they start calling you.
Owing in all of them.
Nicely so, why not? I had the money to buy. The wake-up call was when my mom said to me, they are here, they want to attach a things. And I looked at my mom and I'm like, what things?
Welcome to another edition of Mindset Profits. This is one episode that I have been waiting to do and bring, because I said some time ago that there's a moment in my life where I realized I was about to lose everything. On the outside, I was looking successful. On the outside, it looked like everything was working. But on the inside, I knew I was struggling with something that people couldn't see, but I could. And what made it worse was looking at your life, looking at your bank statement, looking at your affairs, and seeing that you're drowning in debt. This is going to be the story of how we got into debt. And I'm saying we because I am with the DevineDiva in studio.
Hello.
Kgomotso.
Hello. Hi, Ntando.
Who also was trending for sharing her debt story. So this is a carefully constructed reflection on how we got into debt and some of the observations that we see mistakes people making. Because debt doesn't just arrive in one day, it creeps on a whole lot of people. And the question that many people will have at the back of their mind is, why do so many smart, seemingly successful people find themselves deep in debt? Like, how does this happen? Especially even with me, I was asking myself, how does this happen to someone who has grown up believing that they studied money, they understand money, but you find yourself drowning and deep in debt? Kgomotso, how are you?
I'm good, and how are you, Ntando?
Why are you not scared to share this debt story, to share your trauma?
You know what, Ntando? I realized that I just love teaching. I love sharing my story, sharing my mistakes, the things, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, so really I've come there, I've been there, done that kind of t-shirt. Like, I was in depth.
Why are you called the DevineDiva? Before we...
DevineDiva. I normally say, you know the song, Beyonce song?
Yeah.
A diva is a female version of
a hustler.
But you put the divine in front because I believe I'm God's favorite child. So hence that name came. Go to know, I'm Kgomotso DevineDiva. I'm a female version of a hustler. I've hustled, and I've hustled because of the debts.
You sound like it.
Yeah, no, I did. Like, I had to get out. The 20s.
So the 30s,
the debts motivated me. Literally, I'm telling you. Had I not been in debts, I'll probably be comfortable. I'll probably be still an employee. I'll probably be still a brewing technical operator running the brewery. You know, I'm a qualified biotechnologist by profession. I ran the breweries for 15 years of my life. So 20s to 30s, I'm a scientist. I'm earning 25,000 rands.
You thought, I'm flying.
I thought, I've got it. That was me then, you know? And I think the problem is, it's so funny how we don't realize how our decisions are made from where we come from. Trauma, child's traumas. Like, we don't even realize, man, these are traumas.
It's starting to become clear.
It only makes sense later when I started asking myself, okay, how did I get here? You understand? Where did I learn this? You know, I've got all my life planned and figured out. Everything was okay. You know, I was at 21, 22, I already had a job. I was already earning 25K before people could even think of 25K. And I will push it to 35 because I used to do overtime and, you know, shift allowance. And I was that girl.
How many years back
I'm 43 now. I'm talking in my 20s. 20.
You were on 25, 30K then.
Yes.
Jeez, girl. Now
when
saying
you-
I'm judging you now.
Don't judge me. Please don't judge me. I mean, I was very blessed. I was very driven from a very early age. I mean, during my second year, I was already working. I was that girl who will be studying, doing internship, and working at Pick and Pay over the weekend. And doing gym Monday morning in the afternoon. My life has always been very
You were that girl.
I was that girl. So I was very, very clear. I would say, no, I want to work for SAB. 13 years old, I knew I was going to work for SAB. Like, it's so weird how the power of the tongue. I would say to my dad, like, one day I'm going to work for SAB. I'm going to wear a lab coat. That was me. And then I did. 22, 23, I was a qualified biotechnologist, food scientist, white lab coat, got the job. First salary 7.5, Faga shift allowance, I'll probably take around 13,000 rand a month.
Life started well for you.
But I went for it.
Yeah, no, it's good.
I
Look,
called it.
congratulations
I called
on
it.
having
I
started
called
that
it.
well. But what happened to the smart, driven young lady
You know what?
to find herself in the million debt?
So here's the thing. When you're young and you're coming from poverty, I'm originally from Winterveld in Mapopane. So I'm not a rich girl. I'm the girl who used TEFSA to study. So my dad tried there and there, and he used to take loans to actually pay for my school fees. So TEFSA will cover you. Sometimes they don't cover you. Sometimes the stories you fail and then they don't. So my dad will then go and substitute using loans. So obviously, growing up, I saw my dad taking loans. I saw my dad taking store accounts. Actually, had a lot of store accounts. But the funny thing is, my dad paid up. He was the only breadwinner. I think with 4 kids, I'm the oldest. And then obviously, when we want clothes, then it's Edgar's, it's Truworths, it's Woolworths, it's Fashini, And we're thinking, oh, this is the life.
This is how it works.
This is how it is. Because remember, nobody taught me. I'm literally the first person probably in my family. I have one cousin who is educated, who is in the UK, which was probably my inspiration. And I literally was the kind of the second one. I had an auntie who was a teacher, and everybody else not educated. Most of us, it's like our age that was starting to go into this money and education and all that. So obviously nobody taught me about money. I just knew, if I have money, I spend it. It's gonna come back. I'm gonna spend it.
You earn some more, and the cycle continues.
The cycle continues. So I think my problem, or most of our problems, because we grew up poor. We grew up without a lot of these things. When you start coming into money, you're thinking, I have to have this. I have to have a Kavela. I have to have this bag that is 3,000 rand. Oh, I see something at Truworths. I have to buy it and I have to get it now. And I have, that was my thing. Like, you could never wear with me. You could never. I was a fashion queen. I always was like literally, like people who used to work at Pick and Pay Wonder Park will tell you. My hair, my shoes, shirt, I was proper. Made sure most people knew me as someone who was always dressing up.
Has that changed now?
It has actually. Funny, it has changed. I grew up. It has changed a lot. Like right now, I don't even have store accounts. I don't even have a credit card. Literally, I have nothing now. I only have home loans.
You are that scared of
I'm not
now.
scared. I think
now you're smart.
I've mastered the money art. Like now, I don't need debts to buy clothes. I can just get into Pick and Pay and get a shirt, whatever, spend 200, 300, I'm good.
Okay.
I can repeat clothes for like 5 years. It matters not. I don't care anymore what people think of me. Like then, you understand? I've built myself up so much that it matters not. You judge me. I'm wearing Pick and Pay, Pep, Jet, Mr. Price. Couldn't care less.
So in listening to your story and how debt generally creeps in on people, there's a framework on stages of how people get into debt, the 7 stages of how people get into debt. And one of them, actually stage number 1, is lifestyle upgrades. Because when you come into money, and the way you're putting it is because you grew up without, you feel the need to cover up and catch up and be like the people that you are looking up to and aspiring to look like. Yeah. You speed up the process of catching up. And you use money that you don't have.
Exactly.
Those lifestyle upgrades. Is that the only thing that happened with you? And do you see how those got up to the amount of money you were owing?
So this is how it. Okay, I'm gonna go back and probably touch on relationships now.
Oh, relationships got in the mix.
Relationship got in the mix. So in my 20s, say 2020, 23, 24. I probably got my first child when I was 25, if not 24.
Okay.
We'll do the maths. My daughter is turning 18. So 43 minus 18, but I was around 24, 25. I was already employed when I got my first child. So obviously with that, we are mommy now. Then obviously this is now, remember the salary goes very slowly. Not as fast as your responsibilities.
As fast as your bills.
As fast as your bills. So now I have this child now, and then it's my first child, and I plan for this child, and I need to have this stroller, and this baby cot, this car seat.
Fashion brands
and then my baby doesn't go Mr. Price. No, we go to Narkis and F-Chart. No, my daughter used to, I used to be that mom. Like literally. You see,
from being that
girl, you become that mom. And then from being that mom, you become that wife. Because now you get married. Because I was very lucky. I mean, I got a baby when I was paid, then I had a husband very quickly. These other things don't matter. You don't even think about are we the same? What are our dreams? Our ambitions are we dreaming the same things? Are the goals similar here? You only realize when you're in there. You're 25. You dip in that marriage now. Things are, you need a roof over your head now. Now there's rent, then there must be a car, then there's medical aid, then there's food, then there's a nanny, then there's family at home. You also must assist back at home because, hey, guess what? I'm from Winterfeld. My dad is the only one who's been working all his life. His salary is also increasing very slowly. Then they took you to school. You must come help, Pela. You can't leave the siblings behind. You are the oldest. You see how easy it is to creep in? You still have to keep up with your life. You still have your life. You have all these expenses. Ne?
So for you, it's the lifestyle upgrades, but also the social pressure of family responsibilities.
The responsibilities, and then you marry someone who is. So my ex-husband, I don't really want to make this about my ex-husband, but we were not very similar, And funny thing, now that I'm older, I realized that he didn't like debts. He wanted to, you'll get it in 2 years. And I was like, no.
Oh, so you were the one.
I was the one. I don't have time for 2 years. 2 years is too long. I need a washing machine. I need to get it now. I need a couch. My friends are going to come over and then my house doesn't have a couch. I need this couch and I must get it now. You see how it starts? You don't check the interest rate. You don't check those things. Absa calls you, hey, you qualify for a loan. You said, bring it on. Standard Bank comes, hey, I can give you overdraft. It's money that you don't have. But because they looked at your payslip, they see that, she's earning 35,000. Then they start calling you, and then you're taking everything. Trust me, you don't even see it. All the accounts, all the credit cards, all the loans, Then I then decided, I think.
Do you remember how many credit cards you had?
Yo, dude, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to start you with the store accounts. I had store accounts everywhere. Like you could name any shop now.
You were there.
I was there. Foschini, Woolworths, Truworths, Edgar's, Mr. Price. I remember at some stage there was Identity. This is now before Legit and Edgar's were one. So they were separate, they were individually. So I had store accounts in every store. So every time someone
owing in all of them.
Nicely so, why not? I had the money to buy. So I will just buy. You understand? And then same as the credit card. Was it ABSA? So I had a Standard Bank overdraft. No, they used to call it revolving. It was revolving loan then. Almost 100K. I had a credit card in ABSA.
Jeez, girl, they hit you with nice limits.
They were now. My salary was big. I was 35K. I'm talking 2009, 2008. 35K seems like a lot of money, especially if you're pushing your shift and your overtime.
Especially now when you apply inflation to that salary 20 years ago, it means you're probably on 60, 80 now.
Probably now, yes. So I was everywhere, literally everywhere. FNB, I had everywhere, literally everywhere.
Was there no one around in your life that could say, slow down?
No.
Even the ex-husband?
No. My ex-husband. Remember, when you're making the most money, it's like you can't tell me much. Like, where's my money? I went to school. I'm working. That's why we ended up divorcing. By the way, it was never gonna work because I ran me. So I was never gonna listen to anyone. And then I'm that friend who's always been listened to. So who's going to advise me?
Also, even your friends looked up to you, so no one could call you out.
Not really look up to me, but no one would call me out. Because remember, this is personal. I don't tell you, oh, I have a credit card, 100,000. You just see me living my life. You're thinking, hey, girl is living large. Girl is all dressed up, all proper, all the time. Can't the girl is drowning in debt. Then I think I made it worse when I decided that I'm going to build my parents' house. Because then I went on to take a project that I want to build. We from Winterfeld, our house was all messy, So that became another thing for me was, I'm employed and then I'm earning this much and then I want to build my parents a house,
Do you know that's one of the stages in how debt creeps in?
Is it?
It's called the justification stage, where you make very good justifications for taking on new debt. For you is, I'm building my parents' house.
No,
For someone else, it's, I'm in business. I need a car that looks this good. I need to wear clothes that look this good.
Exactly.
So you start justifying getting into debt. It makes sense in your head.
It still made sense.
But you're not running.
It still made sense for me then. Even now, I probably would do it again. Yeah, for me, it was like, I have to. Growing up, saying, when it's raining and in your house, the water goes in. It's the trauma. Every night when it rains, like, oh gosh, we have to take the buckets and start collecting this water. That thing used to keep me awake. So for me, it was like...
Also, water would be leaking.
Yeah, so I think back in the days, there used to be what do they call it in English now? More like, what do you call it now?
Say it in your language,
Then the roof blew off. So now, obviously, we had to quickly DIY the roof. So the neighbors came in and helped out, but obviously that was never a good job. And then my dad was overcommitted. He was never going to be able to fix that roof again. So we had to now stay with this roof that is leaking, literally in my middle school, high school, it's always been leaking, So I've always had that thing, I need to build my parent a proper house or help my dad build a better house for our family. So that became another driver for me. It was okay, fine. The debts, they're not gonna hate me. I'll pay them. I'm working. So that was me. And then I took money. I remember African Bank and Old Mutual came in. I think they just opened those branches where you could actually take a loan. I took loan.
In both banks.
Yeah, both of them. I qualified most. Both banks, Old Mutual and African Bank. I should have brought you my credit report that I actually had. I think I printed that after I was like, hey, 1 million in debt. How did I get here? And then I look at everything and I'm like, yeah, I took it all. I used it up. I built my parents' house. Built it up, literally 4-bedroom, dining, living, kitchen, double garage, 2 bathrooms, and all of us could fit in that beautiful Tuscany house. I was happy. I did that. And then... So
this is one you don't regret?
I don't. I will never regret this part. And I don't even regret my being in debt because it was lessons, If I probably wasn't in that situation, I probably would have not been the person that I am today.
The fun part about you is you reflect on this and you enjoyed your life. Like you got the bit of trauma in that little bit of a season, but man, you enjoyed your life.
I did. No, I did. Like I had fun. I spent the money. I used it up. And that's why I had to, be a person with, okay, Kgomotso, reality is you took the 1 million. I remember when I was visiting my mom and then she had this letter from the attorneys or something. They wanted to repossess now. I'm owing them, I can't pay. And then depression comes in because now I'm going through a divorce. Then I decide, you know what? I even hate my job. Then I'm gonna resign.
You quit your job?
I quit my job.
In the middle of
all
divorce of and banks calling on their loans.
Remember now there's God as well. In all of this mess, in all of this, God also said, hey, wakes you up at 3. What are you doing at SAB? I don't want you there. You are bigger than SAB. And I'm thinking, hi, God, really? This is it. This was that. For me, it was purpose. Like I think I was very spiritual. I mean, I grew up in a Bazalwane church, so I knew that I was different. I've always been different from probably all my peers.
You sound different.
No, I've always been. When people go and buy expensive cars, I went and bought my Daihatsu Sirion. In the midst of everything, I took loan, took 50K, went to SMD, got a hit car, but was hit from the behind, and I negotiated it. I think I bought it for like 32,000. I kept on saying, but nobody's looking at this car. It's a Chinese car. Nobody loves this car. So give it to me at 30,000. I've got 30 grand. That guy kept on. I'm like, my guy, look at everyone. And that guy come like, nobody's looking at this car. I'm like, give me that car. And then I bought that car, and I had it for 18 years. 18. I sold it only last year June to my friend. I gave it to my friend. With my friend, you can have this car. I'm good now. 18 years. So I remember I was still taking.
So there was a nice balance. It's not.
It was a nice balance, but no, it wasn't all bad. It's never all bad on everyone.
Yeah.
It can never be.
Or there's areas where you're making smart decisions. It's coming clear with you.
Yes, that what happens with me. But the wake up call was when my mom said to me, they are here, they want to attach your things. And I looked at my mom and I'm like, what things? I only have a Daihatsu Sirion. I have nothing. I have no investment. I have no assets. I have nothing. I have no house. I have nothing. That to me was a wake up call. What a girl. You have nothing for 10 years. Remember, now I'm almost in my 30s.
With that good salary.
Salary is gone. I resigned 2014. I left my work without a job. I resigned. Then I decided I'm going to go into business. Because this was God now. Now I'm listening to God. I'm spiritual. I'm praying and God is talking to me. And I'm hearing, or no. My mom was like, hey, Wena, aren't you bewitched? Why would you leave a job? Literally, my mom thought I'm bewitched, guys. Like, honestly. That used to pain my mom. When I came and said, I've resigned, my mom looked and she cried. She's like, Kgomotso, how can you do this to yourself? And I'm like, no, but God said to me, I'm not supposed to be there. I'm not supposed to be just a brewing technical operator. I'm bigger than that. Why am I not being a manager? Why am I not owning my business? Like, there must be another way. This can be it for me, you know? And my mom looked at me and like, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. God will provide.
How long did that season last? From the time you were losing everything and it hit you that you have nothing? Because you mentioned depression, so I'm trying to see how long was that season.
Let me give you a summary. So I married around 25, 26. I only married for 2 years. In 2 years, I knew I went out. I avoided divorce. During that divorce, psychologist came in. I was doing sessions with her. And she was like, girl, I don't think you're in love with this man. I think you need to file for a divorce. And I said, okay, I don't have a problem. But what are my parents going to say? My mom and dad have been married forever. Nobody has ever divorced in my family. I'm going to be the first one. And she's like, I need to take you out of everybody, because I was so worried about what will people say, you know. And then I went to a mental hospital. I think it's somewhere in Dalma. But I said, but I'm not crazy. She's like, no, you're not crazy, but I want you out of being with people, your family, your friends, you know, just be out of that environment so that you can think clearly and see what other people are going through. That was another wake-up call. When you get there and you get people that are depressed, people that are traumatized, people that were raped, people that saw murders, like policemen that are traumatized, which I'm in a police force, but I saw someone was hit by a brick from the head and like the trauma, you know, gang raped people, people that have what you call schizos and bipolar. Because remember, they put us in the same space. So we do all these group sessions. And, you know, hi, my name is Kgomotso. I'm depressed. You know, hi, my name is Mama. Those kind of things. I was there for like 6 weeks. So obviously that was to force me to make a decision about divorce.
Okay.
After I've made a huge wedding, my mom used to call it a top billing wedding. And then now, 2 years later, you want out. Why do you want out? My ex-husband was very humble, very, you know, some people, they have a very small pace, like slow pace. I don't want to judge him. We were not a match.
I think everyone listening gets it.
Yeah.
You were different.
I was different.
Anyone who's listening to you can see how fast you're moving.
Exactly. I was moving very fast and my energy was very high. So we were very different. So immediately I was like, nah, I don't think I married the right man. Maybe if he was, maybe not the right time, but he was not the one for me. Then immediately I said, no, I want a divorce. Bona, he didn't cheat. I don't even want to lie and say this guy cheated, this guy was coming at home drunk. He's not that guy. He still goes to church to this day. He's not that person. He's a good man. He remarried. He's happy. I'm happy for him. We have a child. My first daughter is his child. So 18 years later, I mean, our daughter is all great. She understands the whole thing now. Ne? Left this guy, divorced. That is me being 26 or so now. I'm already in this midst of all these debts. Then 2014, I decided I'm leaving my work. I'm close to 28 to 29. I'm resigning. The debts are still there. My pension fund comes at around 300K or so. And I'm thinking 300K will not even cut half of my debts, you know? And I was like, girl, what are you going to do? Then I had to weigh in. Do I take this money, pay my debts? Do I take this money and go start a business and take a chance? And I still had to go and pray about it. And God said, start a business.
Yeah, I get that this is you saying your spiritual answer, you got it from God, but I think in listening to you, I would have predicted what you were going to do. I already knew you took the risk.
I took that money. I still didn't pay my debts.
What business did you start?
I went into events and catering. 2014, registered the business.
Why events and catering? Did you have experience?
No. So I was
just faith.
I was the girl who's when there's parties at home. Kgomotso, how are we gonna decorate? Then that's me. You know, I know, put this like that. The chairs are gonna be like this. The glasses, you know, I've done it, but I wasn't aware that it's business. It's just a skill that I had. Attention to detail. You know, same as designing spaces like a house, interior design, events decor. It's always been me. But I started it not knowing if it's gonna work out or not, and then I went on and said, no, let's hustle. That's where the hustling came in. I said, I'm going to stock up palonis and I'm going to sell palonis. And guess what? I sold those palonis. I was making almost my 20K with selling palonis and perfumes. Yes, hampers, paloni hampers. So I'll go stock up those paloni hampers, drop them, build it. You know, all this shopping complex in Mabopan and Shushanguv. I will drop them there. Month end, they get paid. I'm the first person they pay. Double profit. I will buy it, stock them up at 150, sell them for 300.
Okay.
That's me now, starting into my entrepreneurship.
So it worked that fast?
It worked that fast, immediately. Literally, I would give it to my brother-in-law, my sisters. My sister used to work at APSA, and then everybody will help me. My friends, hey guys, I'm selling palonis. I'll give you 10, drop it at your work, and then let them take it, and I'll come month end. That was me. I literally didn't struggle, but the money was not enough to cover that 1 million. Remember, there's 1 million is sitting and growing. The interest, every month you are being called. We'll say, hey,
we're looking for you.
We want you. We want to attach. Now I'm thinking, attach? Nothing. What are you going to attach?
What are you going to attach?
I have a Daihatsu Sirion 2018 model. And that time it's not even a fancy car. It's just a Daihatsu Sirion. I said to my mom, you know what? Let them come and attach. I'm waiting. There's nothing I can do. But in that 2014, funny enough, a year before I had applied in Distel. So I used to work for SAB. Distel was the one was they making Hunters Dry or Savannas and whatnot. Then a year later, then they call me. We say, hey, we have a position. You applied for a position, seller coordinator, 2013. We found your CV on the system. Are you looking? That's a year later. Remember, the whole of 2014, I've been at home trying to do this business. Yeah. But I can see that, hey, this business is on and off. I'm learning the hard way that, hey, it's not as easy as people make it to be. It's hard. Some months you make money, some months you don't. What happens when you don't make money?
The bank keeps calling.
The bank is calling. I was like, no, girl, you have a qualification, you have an experience, take the job. Start again. And then keep the business going while you are working.
Okay.
That became me, the Kgomotso DevineDiva hustling. I worked shifts. I worked overtime. I worked on weekends, selling paloni, perfumes, renting out my furniture, doing decor still. Very tiring, I must tell you. Very emotionally draining. A very bad space to be in, because when you get paid, you already know that, hey, that 20,000, 25,000 is going. I have to pay people. Then I had to now start learning. How am I going to get out of this debts? That is now 2016, literally.
That's a 2-year range.
2-year range. So, but from 2016 to 2018, hey man, I worked very fast. I paid off everyone.
You paid off a whole million?
A whole million, yeah. I took jobs. I would get gigs. Like I used to get events and I would do interior design, and I had an online store. I had probably 5 or 6 businesses at the same time running. I was forever tired. I was you know when you say someone is bent
Were you still single?
I had a boyfriend. I mean, no, I'm never single. No, I don't operate like that. We found another man. I think that's the other thing that helped me. My boyfriend then came, who's now my husband. He came in.
Did you know the situation?
My husband, my boyfriend didn't know the situation. Then he comes, debt free. Don't even tell him about credit cards and no. Then I think that was another turning point for me. Go say, is it possible not to have a credit card or store account? Guys goes like, no, I'm earning around 30K. I only pay for my car. And then I stayed with my mom and my sister, because his father passed away. So obviously he was now the breadwinner in the house. And then that was it. And I was like, it's possible. So how are you doing it? He was like, I don't need debts. I don't need people calling me, And then he was like, what's up with you? And I'm like,
why all these questions?
Can I not tell you my situation? He's like, no, I understand. You just got divorced. And then I think the other thing during the divorce, remember we were married in Kgomotso property. I decided to take the whole thing, everything. I let my ex-husband go because I was like, no, some of these debts are not his. It would be so wrong of me to expect him to pay some of these things, even though some of these things were with him. Because the furniture and the things, the house things and baby things, it's both our baby, both our house. But I decided it's not worth it. I think maybe I kind of felt bad for him. I could see that he's not as jarred as me. I was like, no, I will recover, I still remember when we were sitting at the round table with the lawyers. And then my lawyer asked me, so are you going to take all of these debts? Or he has to take his 50%? I said 50%. I was like, but dude is not working. He had a salon. I'm like, he's a salon owner. I know how much he makes. He doesn't make much. He won't be able to pay this money. And he's like, but you're also unemployed. How are you going to pay this money?
I'm a hustler.
I said, I'm a hustler. I said, I'll make a plan. I still remember when he said to me, so are you going to make a will for your daughter? And I said, I'm going to make a will, but I don't know what I'm going to put in that will because I have nothing. Literally, I had nothing. Then I had nothing. No car. The only thing I had was my cereal only. No pension. Remember the pension now when you're divorcing, they take it out. They took out that pension, and then I asked my ex-husband, would say, the only thing you're going to have to do for me, you do not touch my pension fund. I will take all the debts. And then we agreed. It's okay, cool. Probably was a dumb move, maybe. But for me, those debts would still be, because I wanted out. Like, I just wanted out, and I wanted to start on a clean
Why
state.
would you say a dumb move, though? It sounds like...
No, but we were married in Kgomotso property. It was both our debts. Like the house stuff and the kids stuff. It was, I was doing a lot of things. I had the medical aid. The child was on my medical aid. I was paying the nanny. I was buying the things in the house, the machines, and some of the things I even left for him, even though I was the one who bought them. You understand? Hence I said...
I get you. Someone else asked me a similar questions because I also took on all the debt after a divorce because when I got into debt, similar to you, I knew I had caused a whole lot of the things that were there.
Yeah.
So I couldn't put it on anyone else.
But yourself.
But myself.
Probably
And also, I talked to a pastor who was saying, look at your ex-wife. Would you want a resentful, angry, bitter woman raising your daughter? Or you want an empowered, inspired, happy woman raising your daughter? Because one way or the other, she's raising your daughter.
Yes.
But your decisions on this matter are going to influence who gets to raise your daughter. And to me, I thought, I don't want a traumatized young girl growing with a bitter woman.
That was a good advice. The pastor is a nice man.
He's a nice man.
That was a good advice. But yeah,
you get
unfortunately, no, I get you. Unfortunately for me, it came from me because I still remember my ex didn't even show up for this whole negotiations. So I literally was like, no, it's fine. I'll take the debts. I'll pay them. And then I still remember that guy saying to me, you understand, you're still so young. I said, no, don't worry. I'll be fine. It took me 2 to 3 years from... So when I met my now husband when in my 30s. I was 30 actually, just turned 30.
Wait, I'm curious about one thing. Don't skip this part, please. At what point did he realize what situation you were in? No, husband. Because you said when you started, you didn't tell him.
I didn't tell him. So we keep quiet now. I say, hey, dude. So remember when he comes into my life now, I've built my parents' house. and I built my Kasi house because then the house.
So on the outside, he can see the progress.
On the outside, there's progress because I have this beautiful house that I built. Kasi it's in Mabopane in Winterfeld, but then it's done.
It's nice.
Sisters is designed. Remember, I'm a designer by birth.
And you look proper.
I'm proper.
You have the accounts.
Remember, with me and my husband, we dated in university. So first year kind of thing. Then we kind of separated. But then we used to meet. But there was nothing really. And then he got involved with another woman. I then married. Then obviously 2 years later, I'm divorced. Then they also separated with the mother. And then our kids are almost similar age, almost 8. They're both 18. And then we reconnect. I'm 30. I'm saying, hey, dude, Mina, I'm divorced. I'm still dealing with my divorce issues. I do not disclose, but hey, I have debts, I have this. No. So guy comes, there's no expectations. I don't want you to come save me or look after me. I mean, it's clearly I'm capable. I've got a house full of furniture. I've got my smaller car is sitting there. My house is proper. You come in, guys says, the bigger TV and another TV. And then there's all those debts. Proper furniture at home. I was an at-home baby, man. Your L couches, your choreographed, everything is proper. Furniture, kitchen units done, wardrobes. It's me and my child. It's a 2-bedroom house and a nice bathroom. Kitchen is proper, dining room, garage, all sort, wall, all good. So guy comes in. He just decides what he's gonna pay the DSTV. I'm like, I appreciate it. Pay the DSTV. And then we dated, I think for like 6 months. But probably I told him a year later. I said, hey, my guy, listen. I see that whenever you are serious. But the truth of the matter is this, Mina. I'm over-indebted. He's like, what do you mean? I said, hey, now I explain the whole situation. Remember, I was married. These are the things that I done. This is the traditions. And then he was like, okay, how do I help you?
Oh, said, that's nice.
Yeah. How do I help you? I said, okay, you want to help me? He said, I wouldn't mind. I said, no, just cover the basics here. Meaning, with this TV, you can buy me
the home stuff.
The home stuff, I'm good. I will do my own thing. We agreed. Good. Luckily, then I got a job. I called back for that Distel interview. It's Distel Springs now. I'm like, hey, dude, I got a job. And then I think I was getting paid 20K or so. Then I'm going to sort myself out. Can you continue with the basics? And then I'll take my money every single month and pay off people. As I'm paying them off. Because remember, I didn't disclose the details. I just said I'm owing. He doesn't know how much. He doesn't know who. And I said, as I'm killing the debt, I will show you. Okay, deal. Then I found a book by, I think, I forgot the lady, the book, yes. Why am I forgetting this lady? But it's fine.
It was about killing debt.
Or something. Yeah, she's a black lady about debts. How to get rid of debts. And I found this book with CNA for like 150 rand. And I bought this book and I started reading. Hey, and then I realized, so I can pay my debts from the smallest one to the biggest one. Let's try this thing, the snowball effect. Oh, there's a snowball thing. Let's do the snowball thing. Take my 20K now. I start with the smallest step now. Okay, who am I owing first? I sit down and look at the accounts. The accounts were easy because they were 4,000 there, 7,000 and 8,000 there. Obviously there's interest and all this other thing. I'm like, no, I'm gonna start with this one.
I get. So here's what I want us to do. I want to do an episode with you on how to get out of debt.
Again.
No. This one was
our story.
Getting
this
in. This is the story. This is the getting in. The mistakes that creep in on people. I want a tactical video, straight up on how to get.
You gotta prepare for that one.
So it can follow. It can follow this one.
Yeah.
So where I want to go is when you were going through the debt thing. When people were looking at you, the ones successful, the ones building the house, the ones flying, to now when you were saying you have nothing in that era, how did you process that phase? Because that phase could have crushed you. And many people disappear and hide because of that.
So with me, it was an opposite. Remember, I'm working with Christ, And then to me, these are the lessons. And then I'm like, okay, this is not the end of the world. I'm from the divorce, remember? So if the divorce didn't crush me, debt can do nothing.
Hey.
So I'm that girl now.
That was running through your mind.
Yeah, I'm healed. No. This is nothing. I'm going to pay them off. No one, it's not like they want to hit me.
So the calls didn't bother
No.
you? Because
No.
you had many accounts. So I imagine
I used to answer the call, Shem, and I'll tell them I'm unemployed, I'm not working, and I don't have money.
Oh, you were not hiding
No,
from the
I'm not
calls.
hiding. I'll answer. That's why when I got the job, I started paying everyone, calling them up, making arrangements. It's okay, now I'm employed. I am going to pay you 500 rand. If I have more, I'll pay you more. You understand? And then, like, even the people that used to call me Shem, I will be so rude. Go to listen, see, you also have accounts, so please don't. Yeah, but I'm doing my job, Gary. I do your job, but I'm telling you that I do not have money right now. I am not working. I'm not going to run away from calls. I don't. Like, I don't have it now. What am I going to do? I don't have it. And then Vele, you go to my accounts, there's nothing coming in. You're never going to find anything. Remember, I'm a cash baby. I do paloni, I get cash. And then I cover the basics as well. It's okay, as long as there's petrol, there's food in the house, the DSTV is covered, and then my husband covered this, and then was my boyfriend, and then, okay, school fees for the baby. I don't want to downgrade my child because then she was going to a private school near and a private crèche. I'm like, no, keep her there. And then, okay, medical aid, okay, to government, forget the medical aid, we are no longer employed. You understand? I had to downgrade, obviously. I had to move from Pretoria North to back to Winterveld, where it all started. But I was still better off because I had my car, I have my house. You know, so you will never gonna see sisters is going through the most. You probably, and I remember I had a lot of clothes, so some of the things that I had then, my sisters still wear them today. I'm like, yo, I remember that jersey, I bought it in Truworths 2009 or 2007, you understand? Because I was buying good quality clothes. And then, so the only thing that was gonna say to you, a sister's indebted, is when I tell you, hey, I'm in debt. Had I not said anything, you were never gonna know. Because I'm driving this car, I have this beautiful clothes, I'm always proper dressed up, and then I'm the talker me as usual. There was never I'm gonna hide and then I'm gonna cry, because I knew I'm not the only one. You know, I knew I'm not the only one, because to me it was like, if I'm earning 20K, people have apartments and they have cars, 15K is gone already. So clearly we are similar, just that our problems are different. The fact that I didn't have to pay rent, I had extra money because I had already built my house. So I had to do the comparison thing. Because, oh no, actually my friend's there, she's staying at her house, so why am I bothered? At least I have my house, you understand? And then that kept me going. Like when I compare with my peers, I was like, they don't even have houses. I have a house. Every day they owe their cars. I don't owe mine. You understand? I owe the loans, but I don't owe my car. So you can't take my car because I'm owing, because it's my car. I bought it cash, remember? So I think for me, it was that comparison for me. It kept me going. It was, okay, we are here now, so what?
What got you depressed then? Because it looks like the way you were processing things
I was never depressed. I remember I was taken off to make a decision that I made.
Yeah.
So the reason for me to be in that hospital was for me to go think, forced environment, that no, when you are around people, you're thinking, what would my mom say? What will my auntie say? Because everybody's married, I'm the first person to be divorced, kind of thing. So for me, it was a decision thing and it didn't take me long. Hardly 2 weeks. 2 weeks, my mind was made up. That woman said to me, do you want to stay married? I said, my girl, I've got bigger things that I want to do. And then I don't think me and my then husband are on the same page. You know, when someone is dreaming a dream house of Shoshanguve and I'm dreaming Cape Town, there's a huge gap between the two. So I already knew that, no, this is not going to work. When you tell somebody, I want an L couch, get 30,000, someone shows me a 5,000 couch, I was like, nah. We are not on the same standard, and I could never drop my standards so to fit into this man's life. So the best thing, let's leave it here before it just goes out of, there were other things obviously that are personal, I can't go in and be discussing that.
No, I don't want you to.
Divorce case. Yeah, but generally then I decided, let's leave it there. Hardly, I was the bubbly one in the mental hospital. All the nurses kept on saying, what are you doing here? I'm like, my psychologist said I must be here, that's why I'm here. But I think God took me there to see what other people are going through, you understand? And then I think that increased my mental strength. Okay, I had friends that were DGs, and I met a lady who was a DG. I'm not going to say by name, obviously she's still in the role. And I had a guy there as well who was a friend of mine. He was in Kgomotso, very intelligent guy, but he was there struggling with life issues, and then I think that made me realize that we all go through the most. It's how you get out that's going to make you better. You understand? Because I had to look at everyone. I'm thinking, but what is so hard? But I realized that, okay, mental capacity is not the same. Our emotional intelligence are not the same. How people react on all these situations and problems is not the same. Not right now, I'm unbreakable. Nothing can break me. Literally, my husband will tell you even now, we can go through whatever. COVID came, we still lost things during COVID. One hour as this. And he still says to me, how are you standing? How are you getting on? I think I trained my mind during that time when I was in that place, when I kept on seeing successful, educated people struggling. And I was like, no, there's no way I'm allowing depression to be the thing that's going to be leading me or controlling me. Like, I refused. And then since that day, Albona, Ntando, I am so strong. You can never, there's nothing that could break me now. I can lose everything and start from zero. I'm sure I'm never gonna be that person who goes, oh, now I'm depressed. I lost my house. Never. Never. I'll just pack myself and go back to Winterfeld. And I still remember my dad saying to me, Ben, what are you gonna do with this house now that you are like in 8 properties? I'm like, nah, that's my backup house. If poop hit the fan, I go back there where it's all started. That's me. It's always been me. Okay, if I lose everything, I pack myself, I go back to my Winterfeld house. I don't owe anyone anything for that house. It's the backup house. My sisters will tell you, all of them. I tell them, hey, if anything happens that you are unable to afford life, that house is ours. You can all go there. It's a backup house. I know I might not go there. I might not. I think
you've got multiple other properties
exactly.
now, but so you don't need to, which is going to be the good part about getting out of debt with you, because you got out and you got out big.
I got out big, and I'm going back. Good, the next thing that's gonna come is if we have war and then they destroy everything, then I'm like, okay, all my properties are destroyed in war. Then that will be the loss. But right now, I got out and I'm not going back.
Do you think your success in business and investment, your personality contributes?
It did.
Because you are not one people can ignore.
No, but you have to build that resilience. Hence, I'm saying it will be very wrong of me to give credit to me only. You have to be going with me, guys. Like, I don't want to be lying.
You are God's favorite.
I am God's favorite, and I say it all the time with guys. Nah, God loves me. Like, He loves me. I've been through things. I've been through the hardships that are the personal hardships. When I started writing on Facebook, it was about my rape story. It was about the divorce thing. I had some bad things that were happening in my life, but I got out. So that when I was raped, I was 15 or 14. That built character. I had 2 options here. I either cry forever and then always be blaming God, because why me? And then I kept on asking, okay, if why me? Why not me? Then who? You understand? I didn't choose this. It happened to me. I had to forgive that guy. I had to forgive him. It was okay, you know what? If I'm going to choose to dwell on the past and cry and feel pity for myself, guess what? I'm going to be miserable forever. You understand? I had to decide right there and there. At age 14, I still remember I was raped maybe this week. Next week, I was like, no, Mom, I'm going to school. My mom was like, no, but you're not healed. And guess what? After that whole incident, I still met my perpetrator. And then he didn't remember me. And he still greeted me like someone who wants to shelter me. And I looked at him and I was like, this guy must be crazy. Like, he had me. Why is he now trying to, hey, baby, whatnot, what? Hence, I'm saying, I think my life have been, building the person that I was to become. Because I've had hardships, but I'll bounce back. Somehow I was stronger. I was like, it happens, so what? I'm still here. I didn't die. He probably took a part of me. I don't want to downplay the rape, but a bigger version of me came out of that. I did not die that day. So that for me was enough. I still got an opportunity to see my mom. I still got an opportunity to heal, to accept, and to forgive. And then to me, it can't be me. That's God. It cannot be me. I still went through the divorce with my husband, or ex-husband then, took out all this debt. At some stage, I was bitter. I was angry at him. Literally, we would not talk, because I remember at some stage we had a house, a land that we had bought. We were in the transition during that divorce thing, because we had bought land, and I used my pension, some of the pension fund that I had, to buy the land. And then with the divorce, obviously we had to lose, and then I had to now be charged for attorney's fees and cancellation and all of these things, because already the process was in the middle. And I still said to Guy, let's buy this land and keep it for the child. or let's share it. I think it was 1,000 square meter or so. Okay, let's divide it by 2. We can have 1A and 1B. You can take the half, I'll take the half. I'll build my house. You can stay here. I'll rent it out so that I'm not in your space. He was like, I think he was still angry. You divorced and whatnot. I mean, he was angry. He said, no, Dad got me angry. I stopped talking to this man because then to me it was like, okay, now you're playing with my child's life. Like you can't. I'm asking you, I took everything here. I said I'll pay the debts. I'm asking you one thing, would he keep the land for this child? He was like, nah, I want nothing to do with this. That to me was painful and I was angry for him for the longest time. I would not talk to him. I would not, it was like, that baby mama daddy issues. Yeah, for the longest time, that was our life. But the fact that I still got out, eventually I forgave him and I moved on. You understand? So I think that to me, it was like, if I could, survive the rape, survive the divorce, survive the debts, start a business and do all of these things that I was doing with the business and running around like a headless chicken, driving to Cape Town, to PE, to wherever, doing events and interior design and online stores, like I can survive anything. You can take me anywhere, I can survive everything. That's me now. Like I normally say, I'm a steel, guys. Look, you can't break me. You can't. Like nothing can.
Jeez.
That's me. Like nothing. So with that, it's a decision. I made a choice. I literally made a choice. We said, no, I am not going to allow my problems to determine where I'm going. Bottom line, I'm not the only one. I like comparison. Again. We say all of us are going through the most. Don't see them go. Even rich people, they are going through the most. So I'm like, why must I be crying over spilled milk? This is part of the life. This is what you learn, you fall, you stand up, you dust yourself, you start over. It is life. It's been 40 years, 43 years of this thing. So what else you think is there? What else is new? You understand? If it doesn't happen to you, who must it happen to? You understand? We are creating. We're in the journey of creating.
Advice and message that you would have for someone who is in debt, deep in debt right now?
You will get out.
Like, girl, you're not the only one.
You are not. Even though you're not doing the last one. The funny thing is, as you learn, you realize that debt it can actually be leveraged. You understand? We still have debts, but it's a different kind of debt. It's no longer clothes. It's houses. It's assets. It's different now, but it's still the same thing. And then rich people leverage debts. They use it. You buy a house and then you go and say, I'm going to refinance it. I'm going to take this cash and I'm going to do something else. You are still in debt. It's just that it's a different level of debt. That's why I'm saying I will never fault anyone who's in debt. If you're comfortable, you afford it. Why not? You can afford it. I mean, I was laughing the other day. I'm saying, my sister was like, you've been saying you're going to buy a new car for so many years and you never did. And I finally did. And I said, but now it's different. Because I can afford to pay the 12,000 rent. It's not, and I can say in the next 2 years I'm going to settle it. I know I'm going to settle it. You understand? It's a different kind of debt. It's no longer now that pressure, poverty mindset where you now thinking, they're going to call me. Let me go to the ATM before the money goes. You used to do that. You get paid on the 25. 12 o'clock, you are at the ATM, Baba. You are waiting for your money to clock in so that you can take before the debit order comes.
You've done that.
I've done that.
Percy mentioned that people do that, and I thought he was joking.
I used to do that. There was an ATM at Murula San. I'll take my car, drive to that ATM just to withdraw the 5,000.
Midnight.
5,000, yeah. When the salary goes, I think my salary used to go to Standard Bank then. When a salary goes,
how do you know the time that it would reflect?
In the morning, early hours. It's a 12 o'clock thing. At SAB used to be there. And remember, your pet's in. It's a company pet's in. It's okay. 12 o'clock, 12:05. The money is in. I take my money. The debitors are only going to start running around later on or in the following day. So whoever gets their money, gets their money. Whoever doesn't get their money, sorry, can't help you. I don't have it. But at least I have groceries, electricity, the basics.
You've been through a lot.
We just don't become great. It's experience. You learn, you fix yourself, you build yourself, you fall, you dust up, you go, you make decisions, you mess up, you fix. It's life. That's what life is. You understand?
All right. So let's wrap this episode. I think it's been clear on how debt can just creep in on people. I want your take on this because you are on the other side of the equation. One of the things people say is the most dangerous thing about debt, the bad kind, not the leverage. The most dangerous thing about being in debt in that way is the version of you it can create I say you're on the other side, because for many people, the version that comes out is an angry person, a bitter person, an anxious person, a depressed person, a desperate person, because every time when they look at their debts, they feel like it's over.
It's overwhelming them as well.
It's overwhelming. They feel like, I don't even know how I'll get out of this. And they see the little bit of effort they put into trying to kill the debt. You get 10,000. The debt needs 30,000. And you get another 10,000. The debt is growing. Now it needs 31,000. It's growing faster than your income is growing. And you look at it and think, geez.
That's where the side hustles comes in. That's where you need to change that personality. Which, okay, my 30,000 is not cutting it. Where else am I going to get the money? That pride, black people pride, which I can't sell. I'm educated, I don't sell. You go and sell the palonis. Remember the palonis and the perfumes? That's where the palonis and the perfumes comes. When a friend says, oh, I have my child's birthday. I'm like, let me do the deco. You can give me 5,000. That 5,000 goes to that debt. Literally, it started like 5,000. Before I know it, I was charging 300,000. I will get people that pay me 300K.
For a whole event?
For event, yeah. And I'll be like, 300K, and I'll use 100K. 200 is mine. Let me go pay. Then I said, that was like, hence I'm saying I killed it so quick because I took advantage of that time. When someone says, I'll have a 50K for the wedding, I know it's not enough, but I'm like, I can't say, I'm not going to chase them away. I want that 50K. So, and I already bought equipment. I have furniture. I took my pension fund and bought equipment, by the way. So let's use the equipment and take the small money and then top up the debts and then start literally slowly. By 2018, I was buying a car, a Kombi VW T6. 2 years later.
Killed the debt.
2018, I was buying my VW T6 Kombi. And then this time we already now bought a house and we're using the husband. Like, this other one has a good credit. This other one is bad. And then you already can see what's okay. Guy is committed. He's settling down. I've said, okay, but I have the cash. I bring cash. He brings his name. And then I said, dude, when I get your credit record is good, and then I have the cash, because remember, I'm doing business now. You know, and then my husband is like the employee type, very employee orientated, doesn't go and be taking risk. I'm that one who's doing the risk thing now. And I said, okay, can we buy a house? Then we bought our first house in Orchard. And then the second house in Cape Town.
Did it not freak him out to allow you to take these risks?
Remember, it was just on his name. So the loser was going to be me here. Because the Orchard house was only on his name. I was just putting my cash. But I'll renovate. I have 100K. I'll put my 100K here. Let's do the renovation. The house will be nice. And then we're going to put in a tenant and we're going to move. It's a risk. Because had we separated, I was going to get out without anything, because there was no lobola at that time. It was just me taking a chance on this man that I've dated at university who was a good guy.
Would you allow or advise your daughter?
No, don't do it. Don't do it. No. I was lucky. I told you I'm blessed. I'm a blessed child, Mina. You know, I look at this guy and I could tell, he's a good man. He's always been a good man. You know, the history is not, playing. And I was like, no. I can bet on this one. I can bet on this one. I took a chance.
But it's good that you're saying you would never do it again with anyone else. No, you can't. This South African guys. No, I will never do that. I will never advise anyone. I actually had another mentee of mine who asked me that they wanted to buy with a boyfriend. I was like, no, don't do it. Don't. Do you trust this guy? No, we've been together. I'm like, don't do what I did. I don't advise anyone to do it. If he's serious, let him marry you. And then you can go buy together. Otherwise, be ready that you might lose the property in the future. Because then if it's on his name, it's his. Unless if your name is on the title deed, then you can go do it. I did it without, it was just him. Literally, our Orchard house, it was just my husband. Our Cape Town house, it was just my husband. At least now you know that you can tell people, I got lucky. It's not something I would ever advise anyone to do.
I will not advise anyone to do that. Just taking a chance, you might lose.
Let's get you back for that masterclass on how to get out of debt. But this has been good.
Are we done?
Yeah, boy.
This was nice.
Nice and easy. Thank you for hearing us till this time. We'll see you in the next episode. We are going to drop the second and make sure it is about how to get out of debt. Because this is just how debt creeps in on people. The habits, the lifestyle upgrades, all the stages that go into how debt creeps in on you. Now, let's do how to get out of debt. See you in the next episode. And thank you.
Thank you, Ntando.